I actually have a story right away to start off the interview with. I remember we were going to a baseball game. We had a group of guys that I went to high school with, and we were going to a baseball game all together. And we used to be the guys that would bring like the new metal artists and everything to the group, because everybody was listening to like the Van Halens and things like that. So, well, the night before we got the Downtown Dreamers on cassette. And I remember as soon as I got into the truck, the guys asked, hey, what's the new stuff now that you're listening to? And I told him, I said, how about Masi? And then he said, never heard of it, but they heard of it after that car ride. Believe me.
That's cool, man. Thank you.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Cool.
First thing I wanted to ask you, man, is you're an incredible guitarist. I mean, first off, and
appreciate it.
How did you get started? I mean, what was what triggered you to start playing guitar?
Playing guitar? Well, I started playing guitar when I was like 12, 13. I'm not quite sure. I think maybe more like 13. And but before that, when I was real young, like a kid, I started playing first drums and then keyboards, like piano, classical piano. Guitar came kind of late, and it was mainly from seeing Richie Blackmore on TV. I was a young, impressionable kid, and I saw Richie Blackmore smash his guitar, and it just freaked me out.
Right.
Yeah.
Richie.
So, yeah, that was it.
Richie was he was an influence for a lot of guitarists. I mean, that guy was amazing at that time.
Especially in Europe. Growing up in Europe, it was either Richie Blackmore or Jimmy Page, and I was into both of them. But seeing Blackmore was ferocious. It's like amazing.
Right. He is. And you were in a band called Dark Lord. I know that was was that your first band? Like when you were starting to come up, like in the early '80s.
Yeah, it wasn't my first band. It was my first kind of, heavy, hard rock, heavy band. I was playing in a bunch of different situations before, but it wasn't hard rock or metal. It was more like, I don't know if you want to call it fusion, but it's more like, more instrumental oriented kind of stuff. And then, Dark Lord was like in '83 after I got back from England. I was living in England for a while. And that was my first actual hard rock metal band, yes.
Now, how did you do with that band? Would you guys, how far did you get? Did you get a chance to do any touring or?
Yeah, we, that was we started out in '83. That was in Venice, Italy, where I'm from, and we started out. We recorded a couple of EPs right away, and then a big promoter up there in Italy put us on tour with different people like Saxon, Maiden, Whitesnake, Gary Moore, so we play a bunch of gigs, and one of our records made it to number, I forgot if it was number 5 or 10 on the Brazilian charts, if you can't believe that.
That's cool.
Pretty weird. So, but we got ripped off. It was crazy in those days. It still is, but in those days it was pretty wild. So yeah, but the cool thing, the funny thing, you're asking me about Dark Lord. I've actually reformed that band, and we're going to be touring this summer and the fall and winter.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. And we were just, me and my brother were just discussing about, Attack of the Neon Shark, and.
Yeah.
And some of the material from that, and that was a great album, and it was, Grammy nominated too, and definitely well deserved.
Oh, thank you. It was it was kind of a departure. It was kind of different. In those days, especially, I never felt comfortable being, sticking to one category of music. It always felt weird for me. So. Metal Blade gave me the chance back then to just stretch out and do different things. So it was great because I got to have Alan Holsworth on the album, Josh Scott Soto, a bunch of different people. It was like a potpourri of different styles, and it was cool.
And Scott Soto, like on Under Fire, was an awesome song.
Yeah. That's too bad that I didn't get to do more stuff with Jessica Soto. We talked about doing more stuff, but and then suddenly everybody had different schedules and stuff. So.
And that was that had to be tough back then because all you guys were doing, like you said, different projects and Soda's been on so many things.
We still are, but back then there was a lot more money involved. These days, it's
right.
It's not there.
It's a shame how everything switched that way. I mean, it went from being huge and then nowadays you don't know what you're going to get. I mean, some stuff is some stuff sells and some stuff is digital and people download and stuff, and it's really a shame what it's become.
Don't tell me, man, because I mean, like recently, for the past 3-4 months, I've been involved in a couple different lawsuits, with past labels, and I still am. It's pretty sad when you find out, like 20 years later, whatever, that your old label has been ripping you off all along, and you find out that you've been.
No, go ahead. I was just saying that.
I go back on the catalog, and I see that my name has been scratched off the publishing deals and everything. It's just bad, it's just horrible.
That's a shame. I mean, you dedicate your life to it's an art. That's what I always say. I mean, you're delivering really like a Picasso, to us as fans, and it's appreciated, from a fan's perspective. It really is.
Yeah, man, it's rough. I mean, there are so many horror stories I could tell you. I mean, I've been ripped off by management, by labels, but it's not just me. If you talk to a bunch of different people, musicians, they pretty much have horror stories to tell you. Everybody, especially someone who's been around for 20 some more years.
Right.
It's bad.
It's tough to hear that. It really is. It really is that when you look at, like I said, you put that your life into that, and it comes down to having to fight different things.
Yeah.
For crazy reasons.
Yeah.
And what about the thing that really attracted us to you was obviously MTV. And we saw the video for God Promised a Paradise, which I thought was an awesome tune. I mean, that's really what started it all right there. How was that time, and what was it like, recording that album, and because that's kind of like what brought you to the forefront, which was great to see.
Yeah. See, I arrived here in LA, in the United States in 1986. So the first 6 months, it was just, for the first 6 months, I joined a band that, by the way, just reformed, was called Sound Barrier. It's an old black band, and we gigged for a while as Sound Barrier, but then the label, Metal Blade, they decided to change the name into my last name. It wasn't my decision. I never wanted to be, like an Ingrid Malmsteen type of thing, that everything is about me. I was never into that kind of trip. But the label wanted that, so slowly it turned into, my band. And I had to go through a bunch of different personal changes, band members and stuff like that. And we recorded, we started writing, and I started coming up with riffs and stuff. And the producer at the time, Howard Benson, we went to a bunch of different studios around here in LA, and it was crazy, man. In those days, there was so much money to be spent to be, just to just throw around, like recording studios and producers and stuff that it could never happen these days unless you're like, Bruce Springsteen or something huge, It was great. It was great times. Now everything is down to, you record at home, and if you're lucky, you go to the drums in a recording studio,
Right, it's amazing. I'm hoping that eventually, one day it'll come full circle, with, it seems like, people are starting to, to look more at the guys that are, real musicians, not guys that program everything. Guys that actually have to, learn an art and.
Yeah, I don't know, man, because I enjoy technology. I do.
Right.
It makes a lot of things easier, but at the same time, it created this false illusion that everybody can do everything. It's not true. It's not true. You still require some level of talent, to make music. I know it's horrible to say, but some people just shouldn't be trying to be musicians. It's like not everybody can be a doctor or a physicist.
Right.
It's something you have to have a calling, in life to do something like that.
Totally agree. It's a market now where it's kind of like instant gratification, which is a shame.
Yeah, technology should be something that people use just to speed up the process, not to create, not to pretend to have talent. Of course, Auto-Tune, Pro Tools, and all that kind of stuff is great, but in the hands of someone who knows what to do with it and is just trying to be creative, not just someone that says, hey, check me out, I have absolutely zero talent, but yet I can put together a beat. What's the point of that?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
While we're talking to you about Downtown Dreamers, David Feefolt on vocals. He's actually from our area, which was really cool to see. I saw, when he was on that album, and he was in Hawk before that.
Yes.
How did you decide on having him as a vocalist? Was he somebody that you worked with in the past, or how did that come about?
Well, actually, it's a kind of a strange story because Hawk was the band that what's his name, Doug Marks. I don't know if you remember him, the guitar player that used to have that metal method instruction.
Right.
Yeah, he used to live out here in Woodland Hills, and a friend of mine at the time was working for me. Took me to see him. Took me, to one of his parties. They were having parties at their house there in Woodland Hills, and they were having some kind of party for some kind of record release for Hawk. Some kind of Hawk record release. And when it was time for me to do the demos for Downtown Dreamers, the producer asked me if I knew anybody that could join the band, and I said, hey, I was just at this guy's house, and the drummer and the bass and the drummer and the singer were pretty good. So the producer called them up and said, made up an offer, some kind of financial offer. So they just came down and they joined my band instead. So for a while I couldn't talk to Doug Marks anymore because he hated my guts for stealing his band. So,
what can you do, huh?
That's stuff that happens. But now everything's cool.
That's good. That is good. Now was that a lineup that did you guys tour for to promote that album?
Oh yeah, we toured with those guys for about a couple of months, but then something happened with the singer, with Dave and the drummer, and we had to replace them. First we replaced them with replaced Dave with an LA guy from out here, Mike Towers. But then Mike Towers left after another 3 months that we were gigging around the States here. And we got Ref Forrester. I don't know if you remember Ref Forrester from Riot. Yeah. And we did some more gigs with him, and we started recording. And we actually had Eddie Kramer, the producer, the Jimi Hendrix producer, that was interested in working with us. But then, a lot of problems happened with Red Forest at the time. The guy had major drug problems, so things didn't work out. And then, we all know what happened to him, unfortunately.
Right. That was unfortunate. He was a mega talent.
Yeah, it was great singer.
How about some of the solo stuff that you did, the instrumental albums? What I wanted to bring up is I was listening to some, actually a lot last week.
Yeah.
this is really great stuff, man. I mean,
Oh, thank you.
how did you start to get involved in that? Going from having the full band with vocals, and then getting into the solo instrumental stuff, which is great.
Yeah. Okay. So right after my time with Metal Blade Records, I did one more album with them after Neon Shock. It was called Vertical Invader,
Right.
and then right after that, we just parted company, and it was right around the time when grunge came out. The Seattle scene, the Nirvana guys and stuff,
Right.
and it was a bad blow to all of us, pretty much, here in LA. So for a few years, I was just gigging around with some, local guys, but not so local. Like some guys from the Michael Schenker group and, stuff like that. Then after a couple of years, I just said, this is not going anywhere because labels were not interested in that kind of music anymore. So I just started saying, why don't I focus on, instrumental stuff that requires a lot less auditioning and that. So my first release was Tales from the North. That was followed by The Watcher. And then, those records did okay in Europe and in Japan,
Right.
but not so great out here. And right after that, I just said, I'm just going to dive into instrumental music. And I did 3 classical albums, the Bach, the Mozart, and the Beethoven.
Right.
And they did great. They did amazing, especially the Bach. Totally unexpected. It sold a lot, especially in Europe and in Japan and South America.
Right.
Sold a lot. And so I started getting involved in instrumental stuff, and around that time, right around the time, I reconnected with my old drummer from a few things that I've done in the past, John Macaluso from New York,
Okay.
and he brought along Randy Colvin, the bass player, who also is not with us anymore, unfortunately.
Right.
And we created a band called MCM. We did a lot of touring in Central America and in Europe, and that was great. It was mostly improvised stuff,
Right.
We just got up on stage. We had a couple of themes, couple of ideas, and we just improvised. And there's actually the second album was all improvised live, and it was great. Just great.
That has to be nice for you as an artist or any artist to be able to go up and have guys that you work with, and you could just go up there and just be yourself and just play, and then have everybody just feed off of each other.
Oh man, it was wild with those guys because John, I knew John for like 20 years already, something like that, and it was like we had ESP on stage. It was like, here's a theme, here's an idea that they already worked on, like a phrase, like a theme, and from that we just launched into this wild improvisation, and it felt like it was a worked out tune. It was so strange, it was wild, but it only happened with those 2 guys, and when Randy passed, it was, oh my God, man, I'm never gonna have that experience anymore. It's wild.
Right. That is a shame that happened. Somebody's, some of the greats now, you see passing. It's a shame. It's a shame. And I was listening to the Bach, the other day, and it incredible, man, incredible.
Thank you.
It really is. How about for some of the stuff that you're doing now? I mean, is it some of the things that you're getting involved in, some of the music that you're making, and anything?
Yeah, well, for the past, I don't know, couple of years or so, I've been working for a lot of other people's records, especially people from Europe. They just send me files, and I play guitar or bass for them. And, something I've been doing since the 80s, people sometimes need a guitar player because the band got signed and they find out that the guitar players can really play to a metronome in the studio.
Right.
So it gets to be a problem. And there are a few players. There are a few session players around town left, and they know that I'm pretty fast. So the semi-finals, I do that kind of stuff. For my own stuff, for my own music, I've been recording a lot of material that I've been trying to send to different singers, because I'd like to get back into the band, the rock vocal band kind of thing. And I've been sending material to a bunch of different singers, and I'm waiting to see who I'm going to work with, and a couple different names that I'm not going to mention right now, but hopefully, something's going to come out. And like I said, I'm bringing back Dark Lord in Europe, and we'll see what happens with that.
That's cool to hear that you're getting back and getting back in the band thing. I mean, it's I look at it as that's so much talent that needs to be out there. That's for sure. It really is.
Yeah, I missed the vocal thing. I missed doing the vocal thing, but it has to be right, because sometimes, just to get a singer, just so you can try to tell people, hey, here's a vocal tune. It doesn't work. It has to be the right combo. It has to be the right combination. Because I don't like. I don't want to do just the metal, the screaming kind of thing.
Right.
I want it to be melodic. I want it to be soulful. And it's not easy to find something like that these days.
That is true. It's hard to find anybody that that does that and does it well too.
Yeah. The great singers, are getting fewer and fewer.
Well, that's the truth. That's the truth. I wanted to bring up you were on a tribute album to Jason Becker.
Yeah.
Warmth in the Wilderness. How did you get involved in that? How were you asked to contribute to that?
Well, there was on my old label, my old European label that's called Lion Music. They're from Finland, and they wanted to put together this tribute album, and my suggestion was to do something from the David Lee Roth era, because I love David Lee Roth.
Right.
And so, that's the track that came up. And Robin McCauley, I did something with him in the past, back in the early 90s. Like I was telling you earlier, I had Rocky Newton, the bass player from MSG,
right,
in a band called Royal Blood at the time. And so he brought along Robin McCauley. And so that was the track that we did. Actually, there was a little anecdote. In the early 90s, we did a benefit gig for some kind of Indian reservation in Arizona. Mm-hmm. And I think it was the last gig that Ray Gillen ever played live. We did a live gig at the Whiskey.
Wow.
Yeah, with Robert McCauley, Ray Gillen, and Rocky Newton on bass. It was amazing.
That's some great talent there. We just interviewed Robin a couple weeks ago. Boy, what a great guy! What a great guy!
Yeah. I don't know if is he still in Vegas?
Yeah, he's in Vegas. He's in Vegas.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, he has. They're doing a couple. They're doing a lot of MSG shows, and they're doing it with all the singers from Michael's past too. So Robin's going to be on there.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's always good to see you guys out there again. Like I said, we've been fans for so long, and we support. Since day one, it's been part of our lives for so long.
That's great, man. We need more of you.
We're doing it, man. We're pushing it out there, and that's why we appreciate having time to sit with guys like you, and we've been fans of for 30 years.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really cool. How about anything that you want to get out, Alex, as far as the fans, and anything that you're promoting right now that you want us to get out there for you?
Well, Actually, I don't have any product out there right now that's coming out soon. As a matter of fact, today I've got to finish some recording for other people. I got nothing coming out of mine, but I am in talks with people, like I was telling you earlier, for some new material. I've been working on a lot of demos with singers, and I'm trying to find a new singer, the right singer for this new project I want to have. It's gonna be a blend of styles, more in the oh God, I hate names. I like dropping names, like more in the Dio Black Sabbath era, Rainbow Dio era, kind of stuff.
Cool.
Like real solid melodic and powerful, kind of stuff. So I'm looking towards the end of the year to come out with something like that.
That's awesome. We're looking forward to that. How about the Dark Lord? Is there any info on that? Like you said,
Dark Lord, we got a booking agent that's booking gigs in Europe right now. So we're going to start around end of August, September. We're going to go on until probably November, gigging around Europe.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And everything's going to be, everything's going to be on my Facebook page, and so people could go just there and see where I'm going to play.
Yeah, we'll get the word out for you and make sure that everybody knows, where to contact you at, where to look at all the things that you're doing right now. And,
cool. Thank you. Appreciate it.
About any last words, Alex?
Well, just keep the flame alive, man. I hope young musicians come up, but young musicians with the right intentions. Not just people that say, hey, I'm just going to go to a guitar teacher who's going to teach me all these licks, and in a week I'm going to be a rock star. You got to put time and dedication and be original. Don't copy anybody. Be yourself. Be yourself, and if you got something to say, it's going to come out, and that's all that matters, really.
Right. Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, we put a nice presentation together, for our interviews, and
cool.
We'll get the presentation together and then send it to you. Like I said, we'll get the word out. We've been fans for so long, and all I got to say is I really appreciate you as a musician and everything that you've done, and we'll continue to listen. We'll spread the word. Anything that comes out that you get out there, we'll back you 1,000%, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it so much.
Well, thanks for your time, Alex. I wish you the best on everything, and we'll get the word out, like I said, for you.
Thank you, man. You take care.
You do the same.
All right, man. See ya.
Have a good night. Thanks, Alex.
You too, man. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.